Yo, I'm recording this one with no notes, so bear with me if there's any pauses as I stare off into space and attempt to recall things, but I think I've got it pretty sorted because it's all recent stuff to do with the last video. And yeah, welcome to it. Hope you're doing well. My name's KSM, and I am hot as fuck at the moment and not wearing any pants, so I know what you're thinking. We already knew you were hot as fuck, KSM, and we already knew, probably had some idea that you just wear shorts no matter what the temperature or weather, and I'm not wearing shorts either, so there you go. Basically, I'm saying I'm hotter than usual, and yeah, it's not just the weather. I'm also a little bit over 4 weeks deep into 100% celibacy at the moment, just doing a little bit of a run while I'm traveling, and yeah, basically just bursting with creative energy, and that's a good thing. It means that I'm able to channel that into creative projects, and I enjoy doing that. So welcome. Basically this is about today is another half moon exactly, and I've since done a little bit of reading into the actual language used by people ordinarily to do with this sort of thing, and it's basically called last quarter moon. So 24th of October when I'm recording this, it's the last quarter moon today, and I am staying indoors and not going out in the world, although preceding the last quarter moon is a waning gibberish sort of thing. So basically that means yeah, it's going away sort of thing, and yeah, we'll get into it in just a moment. So yeah, basically I'm recording this indoors today. I prefer to be outdoors, but after the last one, beautiful location, but I had heaps of wind noise and nothing I could do about that. So yeah, for the sake of audio quality, I'm indoors today and melting, but I figured I'd record this because it's damn hot either fucking way, and might as well get stuff done, right? So yeah, pretty much what's been happening is after recording the last one and sort of speaking my mind about that, I had to think about things, and was curious about keeping an eye on that pattern of the half moon or the last quarter moon, whatever you want to call it, and basically just paying attention and seeing what happened this time. And it's been a little bit overcast recently, even though it's like, 29 degrees in the day and like 19 degrees minimum overnight sort of thing. So it's quite clammy and muggy and humid, but cooking hot at the same time. So yeah, not to whinge, it's a beautiful spot here. I'm in southeast Queensland, minding a $1 million house, and one of the conditions of being here is that I'm banned from using the air conditioning. So there's just, I don't know, I find that to be funny because yeah, it's like, what would you prefer, live in a $1 million house and live like a peasant because you don't have any money left to do anything with, or would you prefer to live in like a $10 house and live like a king because you've got $1 million to spend and not much time left to spend it in? So yeah, people are who they are and they do what they do, right? Anyway, I'm just so blessed to be able to have basically this little space to hang out for a little while, and I definitely appreciate it. And big thanks to those involved who've allowed me to be here for just a little while and put up with my nonsense and basically being audaciously me, which it's not everyone's cup of tea, but go figure. So basically, yeah, we've been waning towards the last quarter moon over the last few days, and I've been doing a bit of a cheat and having a look at the weather forecast, basically, which has that information in there, just because I haven't been able to see for myself at night time, or I've been too exhausted to go out and have a look anyway. So I was aware of what was going on in terms of the moon cycles, which is new for me. And yeah, basically this starts from a few days ago when I was out in the world doing a few just run around things at the shops, picking up food and whatnot, food and drinks. Yeah, and so I was out doing stuff and just paying attention and going about my business. And yeah, I got to a point where things were going okay. So far so good. It was like around midday, and I had just a couple more things to do before heading back here. So yeah, I was out the front of one shop just feeling a little bit rough for some reason. I was picking up on quite a few not wonderful energies around the place, and it is what it is, you know. So I was having a smoke out the front of a supermarket, and noticed across the road there was a tobacco shop I haven't been in before, and thought I might just wander over and have a squeeze and see what's there. I do need a couple of things at the moment, so I thought, you know, go and check it out. So I did, and as I'm walking over, yeah, go past a couple of people that seemed almost friendly-ish, kind of, that I thought I might like to talk to them, and maybe if they're still there on the way back, I might have a chat. Anyway, that's by the by. Yeah, they were engaged in conversation. I didn't want to be rude and interject and just ask random questions to do with the previous thing that had happened, which was also a little bit dicey and unusual, and kind of threw me a little bit, but that's another story. So things were going overall quite well, but not perfectly, and you know, it was just like paying attention and learning and noting where I'd messed up and where I could have improved and that sort of thing, and for future reference, just taking mental notes basically. So yeah, approached the road to cross over towards this tobacco shop, and as I did, just kind of like you could feel the dark energy from across the street. And like one of my totem animals, if you will, was in a tree beside me and sort of let out a pretty ugly sound, like a warning of like, you know, do you really want to go over there? I wouldn't recommend it. And I was like, I kind of do, and like, thanks for that, but I'll do it anyway. So I wandered across, halfway across the road, I spun in a circle, got across the road, was just feeling it, you know. I was in sort of a swampy, heavy, dark, thick energy, and yeah, just puffing on the smoke and doing what I do, just having a look in the window of the shop, and it was all like a very neat display, and lots of space, and easy to just have a look at the items on display there. And I noticed in the left-hand corner there was two of these incense holders, and a couple of these traditional white sage packs of incense, and I was like, oh, they look cool, and they remind me of one of my friends back in Victoria. I think he has a similar one, or at least he has similar sort of designs that I associate with him, because before I left to come up here, he gave me a little trinket, or just a gift basically, of a little sitting Buddha to take with me as a little token, and just something nice, which I thought was cool. And you know, this thing itself is just beautiful, and I'd been looking at one of these because my old one broke about, I don't know, 15 years ago, and I've sort of been wanting another one ever since. And you know, I wanted it to be well built, you know, I didn't want it to break again in a big hurry. And so having a look at these, you can tell it's like, it's well made, it's fairly heavy, it's pretty solid, it's just like really beautiful and nicely put together, and it was only $15 according to the sticker on the label. So no, the sticker and the label is the same thing, but you know what I mean. And yeah, wandered into the shop, said hi to the woman working there, and this is by the by, but she looked like she'd fallen out of the ugly tree and basically hit every branch on the way down, as the old expression goes. But you know, she was just being herself, and I was not really paying attention to her appearance. I was just talking with her about, things that I would like to buy, and I saw just a can of something down in another display inside that I was interested in. I'd noted this incense holder and this incense in the window, and it was basically those three things that I was interested in purchasing from that store. So firstly, the cans looked at, I'm like, there's no prices on them. I'm like, how much are those cans of fluid? And she goes, $6.50. And I'm like, cool, all right. And then I wander over and I'm like, what about the incense? It says like $2.50 each, or you can get 2 packs for $4. I'm like, do you have like a cash discount or like a bulk discount for the cans of fluid? And she's like, no. I'm like, all right, fine. And then I'm like, I'll grab some of those cans, and I'll grab 2 packs of incense, and I'll grab one of these incense holders from the front window, please. And she's like, oh, the incense holders are over there on the back shelf. And I'd already had a look over there on the back shelf, and they were completely different sorts of items that were basically shocking build quality and looked like the tree with which she'd smacked herself in the face while in the middle of falling down, all those ugly branches sort of thing. I'm like, that is not the same thing that's in the front window. And like, I want the one in the front window that's $15, please, or $14.95. And like, I'm like, are the cabinets locked so I can go and just take it out and bring it to the counter? And she's like, yeah, they're locked. I'm like, okay, well, the cans, please, and the incense holder. And we've gone just back and forth about the incense holder. She's like, grab one off the back shelf, they're the same. I'm like, no, they're not the same. They're completely different, and I want the one in the window for $14.95, please. And like, I can't get it and bring it to the counter because you say the cabinet's locked. So if you could just grab that for me, that would be great. I'm a paying customer with cash, and I want to buy stuff. Can you just like throw me a bone here, lady? And yeah, she's gone over to the cabinet and like, in a bit of a huff, just like as if I'm the biggest inconvenience since, government was invented or something. And yeah, just slid the cabinet open. It wasn't locked at all. Pulled the incense holder out and took it to the counter. Grabbed some of the cans of fluid, grabbed the incense, ran them through the machine. And she's like, oh, actually, the cans of fluid are like $8.98 or $9 basically each. And I'm like, all right, well, forget that. Like, no cans of fluid, please. Like, just the incense holder, just the 2 packs of incense, and like, did the math so that when I paid her, I was going to get the exact correct change, because often people would try to rip me off and shortchange me on one hand, or on the other hand, they'll give me change in a different currency, or they'll give me just like more change than is accurate, and I'll have to be giving money back to them, and then they'll try and refuse it back, and then I'll have to just throw it into their tip jar sort of thing. So yeah, anyway, got through all of that, and got my items 2 out of 3, did okay, got out of the store. And I forgot to mention that before going in, I saw these things as mentioned and was just like, wow, they're fucking cool. So took a couple of photos, sent them to me mate in Victoria, and saw that he got the message immediately. He got the double tick thing, he's received it and he's seen it. And so I'm like, instead of texting more, I'm like, just called him straight away, because I wanted to say like, look bro, these fucking symbols, these little Buddha things are like very similar to the one that you gave me before I left. And like this white sage too, like you don't see that much in Victoria. And it's like, I had a smell and I was like, that smells really gentle and nice. And the other, short of the actual bundle of sage, like the other one that I normally have is this stick incense white sage, which is actually quite fierce and a little bit strong to be just burning on a regular basis sort of thing. It's more of like a a sharp clearing, sort of thing. Whereas this traditional white sage is a lot more gentle and a lot earthier, if that makes sense. So yeah, my mate received the messages with the photos, and his phone just rang and rang and rang and rang and rang, and he just had ghosted. He didn't answer at all. That was like 3 days ago. I've not heard a word back from him, and I don't know if he's okay or if he's upset at me for some reason. But anyway, that's by the by. It was just part of the whole weird experience of that particular day, you know what I mean? So, not making presumptions, but just found it to be fucking weird. And so, yeah, bought my things, left the store, crossed back across the road and did another circle in the opposite direction halfway across. Like whatever I entered into, I entered back out of or exited back out of after leaving. And I don't know why the fuck I do those sorts of things. It just felt appropriate at the time. And, if it makes you feel better and it doesn't hurt anyone, then yeah, why not just go ahead and do it, sort of thing. So yeah, it sort of shook me a little bit, and then pretty quickly after thinking about it, just kind of realized that it was kind of like a series of tests to see if I was awake, sort of thing. And yeah, it's kind of like a master in disguise, like a creepy, ghoulish disguise, like testing me to see how much I was paying attention to things and how much I really knew what was up in that situation. And yeah, I feel like if I had have taken one of these things out and lit it inside the store, she might have just been spontaneously combusted and turned into like a cloud of bats and flew out the fucking chimney or something. So yeah, such is the nature of the people and the shops around this place near the coast in southeast Queensland. It's been a little bit rough for me as a Victorian / Melburnian to be around such a rich, hoity-toity, stuck-up kind of vibe where people are just oblivious to I don't know, life on the ground, life on the street, life where we're actually out there in the real world doing it tough. And these people are just sort of floating on the top and torching through the, inheritance of future generations and basically wrapped up in greed, I suppose, would be the simplest way to express that sort of idea. And it's not like I'm holding anything against anyone, and I do my best to not be judgy and to send blessings to people in the street when I see them, but it's just like an observation of the general vibe around here. There's a lot of basically women that are just like they're as straight as a stick and like no shape or figure to them, which is an indicator of infertility. So if people reject psychedelic substances throughout their life, especially as they get older, and whether or not they're hostile towards them or other people who use them is one thing, but whether they accept them into their life and are willing to continue to evolve as they age is another thing. And you can just see it all over them, the fact that they've hit some sort of level and become conservative and plain and ordinary and just want to fit in with everyone else around them and do what others do and be how others be and not ruffle any feathers or really be themselves or chase after dreams or follow their heart or have much integrity, So as someone who enjoys psychedelics, as someone who, enjoys is maybe not the correct word, as someone who subjects themselves to psychedelics on a fairly frequent basis in order to heal and to learn and to evolve, I feel like it's a bit of an affront to me personally, and I do remind myself not to take such things personally. No one's really come out swinging and had a go at me in any super massive way that I haven't, been through a lot worse before, but it's more of just the vibe of the place and the fact that there's so much people, like to quote The Matrix, just living out their lives oblivious, millions of people, and just clueless, infantile, juvenile, and look like they're 180 years old, but act like they're 13, sort of thing. So having cleared all that sort of, just roughness, I suppose, like now speaking about it, I don't want to dwell on that sort of thing. Like, it's a beautiful area around here. There's a lot of people that stop by who are living in vans and cars and that sort of thing, even tents in the bushes on the main street. And it's just sort of more normalized here that people are houseless and out and about traveling and living in vehicles, whereas in Victoria, that's not really the case, and you sort of stand out a lot more as one of those people. Even though it does happen, you get a lot more flack for it, I feel like, when you're in Victoria. So that's a plus. And in theory, if I got used to the weather, it would be nicer potentially, and a plus. But because I'm returning to Victoria, I don't really particularly want to get used to it, because it's just going to mess me up when I go back again and have to, go from like brutal winter into like full on summer really suddenly, and then straight back into like spring, and summer is like almost here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to cooler nights where I can actually sleep at a reasonable hour instead of being awake until 1, 2, 3, 4 a.m. just sort of melting and waiting for God to take me away to dreamland, sort of thing. So yeah, that's pretty much the brunt of it, and that was a few days ago. And on the waning gibberish, whatever the fuck it is, towards the last quarter moon, which was on the way. So I think the next day, like yesterday, or the day before, sorry, so like 2 days ago, I had like a bit of free space here to myself and a bit of free time, sort of thing. Like, there's work to do, but there's also healing to do, because I've been putting my usual medicine and healing techniques aside and focusing on getting work done for one, and just surviving for two. Like, you're almost forced to drink alcohol here to open your blood vessels, to cool your body down, and then you have to deal with the fact that you're drinking every day, and that's, for one, expensive, for two, it's ruining your sleep, for three, you have to get up and pee all the time. It's not ideal, but at the same time, it helps me to understand the local people a little bit better, and why the alcohol is a lot more sort of normalized the further north towards the equator you go. And yeah, to it's like not even about being drunk, it's just about trying to survive, which is basically the theme of life when you're someone who generally lives in a car, or just does house sitting occasionally, sort of thing. So yeah, 2 days ago, like, there was that thing with the shops lady, and then another thing with another shop, which I won't go into, it's just going to drag it on, but you get the point. There was just negative human behavior that I was encountering out in the world, and in an unusual way, because of the timing of everything, and like it all being compressed into one sort of area of time, and time of month, I suppose. So yeah, 2 days ago, like I said, I had some free space and time to myself, and just focused on cleaning and just chilling the fuck out, basically. Mentally, like, wasn't really able to physically, except for having just as many showers a day as one human can tolerate, given the level of chlorine and fluoride that's in the water. It's another story, whatever, but like, you know what I mean? I don't want to be showering that often, regularly, or normally. It's just in Victoria, once every 3 or 4 or 5 days is sufficient, but up here it's like, you have a shower, get ready to go out, do a couple of things for a few hours, get back, and you're just like, I need another shower. And then like later in the evening, you probably need another one again, because you're just like drenched in sweat, and basically pushing out toxins that you've been accumulating over the course of your travels and whatever the fuck it is you do in your ordinary life. So yeah, a little bit sticky and messy, but there's definitely a blessing to have easy access to be able to have a wash, and clean up. Just walk 3 seconds that way. There's literally a shower and a bathroom. So I do appreciate that, regardless of whether or not it's perfect, because I mean, you know, how many things are perfect in this world, you know? So that was the third day. The second day, I was a little bit more prepared, and yeah, just kind of went through a bit of healing with music, and yeah, as I like to do, just kind of for some reason was in the mood for metal. I've been listening to a lot of down tempo and trance and techno and just sort of lighter energy music, and at the same time recently been dealing with a lot of heavy duty sort of disagreements and arguments, and sort of propelling towards full-on legal battles that could have potentially dragged on for months and years and left me feeling just as bitter as I started out, you know. And like, I realized I had a lot to let go of, and I realized I was wasting energy because I'd fallen off the path of what I'm doing at the moment, and had been just sort of adopting this energy drain, and was unable to do what I'm normally doing and what I'm here to do, which is basically get a little bit of work done on the album, and get, you know, releases happening and release dates in place and that, all that good stuff. So yeah, I was not really in a good state, and the alcohol every day has not been helping in that sense, although it helps in a physical sense, like I said, about just cooling things down, especially when you're on stimulant medication to get by and get things done, which like warms things up. Basically, it constricts your blood vessels. So it's funny to have both at once, something that constricts and something that opens up. Like ideally you just end up normal, like in terms of your cardiovascular system. But yeah, anyway, ended up doing like about an hour of just like solid heavy metal, listening to this album for the first time in many years, Sepultura Chaos AD. And it's an absolute masterpiece of an album, and like you can fully trance on it. So I was just like having like a really good solid dance and just pouring sweat and couldn't give a fuck, and just like moving my body, getting all the aches and pains out, getting all the tension out, just releasing and letting go and pushing out and clearing, and enjoying myself at the same time, you know, as you do. So that was wonderful, and I feel like I made a lot of good progress, because I decided already at that point that I wanted to let go of this whole you know, back and forth argument that I was sort of choosing to stay locked into for some reason. It's just like I kind of forgot temporarily like what the fuck I was doing here, and like where I'm going and what the point of it all is. So having that dance just helped me physically, not just that, but physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, to reconnect with you know, the core of my being and my purpose, and to remind myself of what's important in life and what's not important, and in fact getting in the way of what I'm doing. So that was wonderful, and slept a lot better that night, I think, and basically woke up feeling better, and all the next day was feeling just overall much lighter, and more myself, more healed from recent sort of dramas that I'd been wrapped up and involved in, and not enjoying at all. It was very uncomfortable, and like physically in the stomach uncomfortable to be sort of learning how to stand up for yourself in ways where other people are easily offended by that. And so you want to be generally nice and accepted by those around you, and you know, when you're raising feedback and criticism concerns, they can just take everything personally and decide that you're a fucking asshole. So you know, it's like, if you're just nice all the time, people walk all over you and take advantage of you, and that feels shit inside your body and leads to disease and all the rest of it. Whereas if you stand up for yourself and say, hey, you fucked up here, can you please either unfuck that or like make it better in some way so that we can both move on in peace, then they basically might respect you a little bit more, but that the degree to which they like you as a person goes basically through the floor. So it's not the way we're raised as children. We're kind of brought up to like either you're nice and acceptable around other people or you're punished. So that's a big can of worms. And like just a little bit of insight without going into detail in what I've been going through recently and struggling with, I suppose, and lucky to have a little bit of perspective from the people around at the time to just sort of bounce ideas off and get clear and get straight on what I actually want out of my experience in this path that I'm on, and what would make me the most content and at peace and aligned with the path that I'm on in terms of the long run. If I took one direction, what would be the result and how would I feel about it? And if I just forgot that and took another direction, which is basically getting back onto the path that I'm on, then, how would I feel about that, despite the fact that it means basically not overlooking, but just dropping the fact that I've been fucked over in a pretty big way recently, and it's like a personal thing. It's like from an outsider's perspective, it's not a big deal, but for me personally, it's a fucking huge deal, and it hurt, okay? So to drop something that someone has done intentionally or otherwise, which hurt me, was a difficult process, and it still is a process, but I feel like just like burning through it with metal and a solid dance at full noise just for an hour, it just fucking helps. Like metalheads are world renowned as some of the most peaceful people on the planet, which is counterintuitive because a lot of the music sounds angry and full on and intense, and it is at times, but that's not the point of metal. The point is basically, go and listen and see for yourself and experience it for yourself, because I don't have time to explain it. So if you don't get metal, then me explaining it is not going to help you understand. Whereas if you do understand metal and the vibe and the energy of the people that go to these events and listen to it, then you don't need me to explain. So yeah, basically moving on. There was that, and that was helpful. And then I think that evening, I was pondering this, the last quarter moon thing, and I thought, I've been doing a couple of things which seem to help, and I've been just sort of oblivious in some ways, which sort of shoves me up against challenges, mostly to do with dealing with other people in the world, which, can be tedious sometimes, but it was like noticeably different during these times of waning towards the last quarter. So I had a quick online search and stumbled upon Celtic mythology regarding the last quarter moon and what they understood about these times of month, and what they did about it, and yeah, sure enough, it turns out it's not just me imagining shit in my head. And basically, to summarize as quickly as I can, they thought it was definitely a thing, and there was noticeably an increase in negative human behavior in general, and they recommended, or at least practiced, several things to help them during that time, which was like grounding, like walking barefoot, burning stuff like incense and Santo Palo, using crystals like amethysts, and basically also doing like an introspective internal letting go of things which no longer serve you and are dragging you down, and you sort of want to be free from. And also to to avoid, wherever possible, beginning a new project or starting a new thing where you want to be successful, because if you start it apparently during this time of waning towards the last quarter, it has less of a chance of success and is more likely to fall flat on its face, sort of thing. So yeah, that was a huge, huge relief for me to discover that, like, I have Celtic roots on my father's side, and um, I'm completely disconnected from it. I've got no idea about any fucking thing. It's just we're floating on our own out here in distant lands, and there's just no passing on of this ancient knowledge that's it's there. If you hunt it down and seek it out and try to find it, you probably will. Most likely you will, and it'll be there to be found. But unless you ask the question in the first place, you're just not going to know these things. So, having asked the right questions, I received the answers, which basically confirmed that you don't need to actually know on an intellectual mind level, and that the fact that I was already doing things like grounding, burning Santo Paulo, having rocks and crystals around, letting go of things, and you know, basically doing all the right things, except I was still beating myself up a bit for having all this free time and a safe space to get some good work done on projects that I'm working on, except not having the fucking energy to do it. So I was sort of blaming myself for not being productive and getting shit done as quickly as possible, which is ridiculous. And it's like a pattern from growing up in an environment where an employee, and everything has to be done as quick as possible. Otherwise, you basically either getting a pay cut or fired or sent on jobs that are like designed to make you want to quit, sort of thing. So yeah, to get just like this confirmation from a genuine kind of source, which, not the internet itself, but from the Celts, from the Celtic Irish background. That finding that information and understanding that it was already in me, it was already in my DNA, in my bones, in my intuition, and I was already being guided to do the right things. Like, this is all after I'd done all this letting go, made these big decisions, did the whole metal dance, burn through all that energy and clear it out, and like really drop a lot of it to the point where I'm mostly free, and like it's only the people around me that have had some insight into what I'm going through that are still hanging on to it as if I'm still stuck in it, sort of thing. And so there's that. That was 2 days ago, and yeah. Pause for a sip of beer. And purple drink. So, yesterday, we're still waning towards the last quarter, which is today. And I thought, I'd love to stay indoors and not do anything and not really face the world. But at the same time, I'm aware of things. I've done the research on the Celtic mythology and their way of going about things. And I felt at least prepared, and I felt confident enough to go like, all right, well, there is a few things that I want to go out and pick up. Like, I'm running low on tobacco. If I don't go out today, I'm going to have to go out tomorrow, which is exactly on the last quarter. And so let's just go and face things, get it done today. And, we're prepared, and we'll see what happens. So, yeah, I went out and went to a bottle shop first to pick up a slab of beers. And this is a decent shop that I've found, which is not super local to exactly where I am. It's a little bit further out, and I had a reasonably good experience and service there previously, so I went back there. And as soon as I walked in, this woman was just like extremely cheerful and saying hello and how are you, and just like a really warm, welcome, light greeting. And I was like, oh, hi, like, how's it going? That was cool. And every sort of interaction in shops after that was of a similar nature. It was either neutral or leaning towards positive and totally fine. And I was just playing usual down-tempo, chill-out stuff, and no more of the metal, no angry stuff, just really basic, normal, everyday, relaxing vibe, and just getting things done, basically. And went about my business and made sure to stock up on enough food to see me through the remainder of my stay here, I think. Not really sure when I'm leaving, but it will be sometime soon, just because. And yeah, stocked up on food, stocked up on tobacco. I was potentially going to be catching up with, this person I'd met around here who was actually kind of sensible and chilled, but he lives and sails around on a boat. He doesn't actually live locally and, reside in $1 million house sort of thing. So he's a little bit closer to the ground in that sense. Yesterday things went fine. I sort of was just paying attention still and just very appreciative of the fact that I wasn't encountering such negativity and hostility almost that I had been in recent days during the waning towards it all. And basically got back, was in a good mood, listening to nice music, not blasting the hell out of it, but not super low volume either, just nice levels, and really chilled sort of Sunday, like mid-tempo, dancey, relaxing vibes, and just preparing and, bathroom, shower, freshening up after being outside again, and preparing tea, rolling smokes, getting stuff like that sorted and cleaned up and organised, and ended up like this guy that had organised to come around and catch up and discuss like legal matters and that sort of thing that I mentioned before. He did come around, and he had just started a new job that day, and so I thought, okay, cool, this will be interesting, because he started a new job like really close to the last quarter moon, which if you know the the first 5 sort of points about the Celtic stuff that I've been mentioning, it's just like that's an unwise thing, but who knows this stuff and who would pay attention even if you did mention it, or if that sort of thing. It's like, this guy's not into tripping and psychedelics. He's relatively straight edge. He just drinks and thinks that drugs are an escape. Whatever, that's his position. But yeah, I thought I won't mention the moon stuff because I don't want to sound like a crazy coconut more than I already do. And I'll just sort of pay attention to, I had the feeling, because of the timing and the nature of things, and because he'd started this new job at this time, I thought it would not surprise me at all if it did not go well. And like, I don't want to preempt it and go like, if you need some consolation, then like a beer and a smoke and some food. I just gave him some food and a beer and a smoke basically, and held space for him. And like, work came up basically once in the beginning. I'm like, oh yeah, how was work? And he's like, oh, don't even mention it. It's like, okay, cool. And just like dropped it straight away. I'm happy to not talk about work any day of the week, you know what I mean? So let him be, and we just hung out and had a few beers for a couple of hours and just talked like deep philosophy and bashed around a few ideas. And took me a long time to sort of give him some little understanding into what I just explained about, not to do with the moon, but to do with dropping something and letting it go, something that was fucking my energy and destroying my life when I'm like, I've got important shit to do and my life is full of blessings, and to focus on negative bullshit just magnifies it and puts energy towards it. It's like wherever you're placing your attention, you're sending energy, and that is going to expand, whether it's positive or negative. So to return my energy and focus to the positive is the wisest choice for me. And he couldn't let it go. He just kept fucking banging on and trying to give me advice about like, oh, you got to drop it in the right way. You can't just let it go and just forget it. You have to do it correctly, and otherwise it'll just like get into your shadow and like fuck things up, and years later you'll have all this stuff built up. And I'm like, yeah, I fucking know that, man. Like, you don't have to tell me that. And I do it all the time. Like, I clear stuff out and let stuff go. Like, I've practiced this, I'm fine. And then I think after about the sixth or seventh or eighth time that he's brought it up and tried to discuss it all as if it was still something that was like ongoing, I was just kind of like, what the fuck are you talking about? And, he finally sort of registered that, I had let it go for the most part, and that I had literally already moved on, and that it was not a thing. I didn't even want to fucking talk about it. And it's not because I was in denial. It was because I'd done the good work and done what I was intuitively guided to do. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that was interesting to see that, the way other people can latch on to negativity and just take it and run with it, even though it's like not even theirs, is strange to me, but whatever. And yeah, just to hear him talking about work voluntarily, just bringing it up after like 3 beers deep sort of thing, and after we'd settled in and had a couple of smokes and unwound a bit. Yeah, he was like, oh, I kind of want to work until December and, possibly February for the end of the contract, and just to get enough cash to fund like travels down to Tassie later in the year. And it's just like, yeah, okay, whatever. And he mentioned that like several times, and then at some point he just like pivoted and flipped to the opposite of like, yeah, I might just not even go back really. And like, I didn't ask or pry or anything, but he just kind of mentioned that they fucking slapped him in the face, and they had like a deal for him to start working there where it was a certain amount of pay, and then when he started working there, it was less than they agreed on. And so, the nature of his work, this fucking pissed him off, and he got very entitled and righteous and upset about it, as you would, and was contemplating confronting them about it, even if it meant them saying, if you're not happy, then leave. But, if you stay in that context and you stay on with that company that you've decided to work with, and they very first thing they do is slap you in the face, and you just accept it and roll over like a dog, then they're just going to keep slapping the fucking shit out of you for the rest of your time there. And like, do you value yourself enough to say no and to walk away from that, So I just sort of held space for him and listened, and he was a little bit opened up after talking with me for a while and getting a sense of my energy. So yeah, I just said like, look, I've noticed a few times you've said I've got to go to work tomorrow. I'm like, that's fucking not true. You don't have to go to do fucking anything. Like, it's your choice. You get up in the morning and you decide. No one's holding a gun to your head and forcing you to go to work, You're absolutely free to go and endure this thing, which is already off to a rocky start and may not improve at all for your time there. Or you're free to just check out now and say, no, like, I'm done. Like, I tried, it didn't work out. I'll try something else later, which probably will work out a lot better, naturally, given the timing of things, and so on and so forth. So I just held like a neutral position of like, do whatever the fuck you want, but don't forget the fact that you can do whatever the fuck you want. It's up to you whether you work or don't work, or you know what I mean. It's just like, it's not critical. It doesn't make really that much of a difference at the end of the day. And it's just like, what do you actually want? Do you want to sit around and be subjected to mistreatment and then be all upset about it, or do you want to stand up for yourself and get that satisfaction of being able to say to someone like, you fucked me over, either fix it or I quit? And they go, no, I'm not going to fix it. And so you go, all right, fine, I quit, goodbye. And you just walk out of there, with your integrity intact. So yeah, that was that. And it was quite interesting for me to have a bit of distance and perspective, and to I don't know, just appreciate the fact that I'd already somehow done all the good work and all the right things to have had a reasonable day myself, but people around me had not, and they were sort of stuck in this perhaps unfortunate timing situation of attempting to start a new project and it falling on its face immediately because it's like the day before the last quarter moon. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Today is on the day of the last quarter, and I've done shops for 2 days in a row previous to this, just about. So I'm all sorted, and I don't have to go outside into the world and encounter any potential negativity from other humans, and definitely appreciate that. And I also appreciate the fact that if I did choose to go out, I'd probably be okay because I've got all these wonderful tools with me to basically enable it to not be such a devastating thing, and to embrace the fact that we have challenges at certain times, and that they're it's like Florence says, it's like hindrances are friendly. It's the obstacle is the path in some sense. It's there to help you understand more about yourself and to grow, but it's only an opportunity. It's not a guarantee. So we are the ones that have to put in the work and energy and effort into growth, and that is an uncomfortable situation, obviously, but what do you want? Do you want just pure comfort for your entire life and never growing at all? It's not really life. It's not really living, in my opinion. It's just, whistling past the graveyard sort of thing, while the cities are on fire. And, not to get off into the weeds on negativity once more. It's not really my intention to focus on that, but it's also not my intention to gloss over it and be all like love and light and, peace and joy, and those are wonderful things, but it's like not the reality for a lot of us. And I don't know, just doing a little bit of writing and introspection recently, it's I realized I was a little bit pissed off about the notion that people hold on to, where they just throw it out there as like a cliche of like life is short. And I kind of just want to punch them in the face, but I'm not a violent person, and I understand that that's a ridiculous thing to do, and I would not be appreciating someone punching me in the face when they disagreed with something I said, which has happened before, and I know what it's like. So short of fisticuffs, I kind of just want to say fuck you, because you're greedy. And only a greedy person who is convinced that there is never enough would say that life is short. Like if you could understand, or at least speak with and empathize with anyone who has actually suffered in their lives, then you would realize that life is plenty long enough. If you are in the midst of suffering and pain and trauma and distress and so on and so forth, it's brutal. And like, do you remember being a kid? It's like 1 year is just like practically an eternity. It's like you're coming into the physical earth from an eternal dimension. It's going for just like, you cannot see an end. If someone says to you, you're 4 years old and like you'll get a few privileges and like to make your own choices in what we do, like maybe when you're 12, 15, 18, it's just like, fuck, that is a long fucking time to endure being told what to do, what to think, how to act, when to be awake, when to be asleep, when to shut the fuck up, when to speak, when to play, when to be still, what to eat, how to eat it, how much you should eat. It's just on and on and on. And, just, don't you remember that? It's like, didn't we all go through childhood, and wasn't that clearly understood that, it's not perfect, and it's not all peaches and roses, and that it is very difficult for so many of us, and that to say it's short is to really do a disservice, and like to spit in the face of all those who do suffer and who would love it to be over. But there's a stigma against suicide. There's a stigma against helping other people to end suffering. So It's one of those things that I just wanted to throw out there as part of this process during this time of month to basically, express it and understand my thoughts on it and share them in a way which is, hopefully not destructive. It may not be constructive in any way, but it's just something that I'd like to let go of and not carry around with me, and not go out of my way to be upset about in the future. You know what I mean? It's just like forgive them, they know not what they do sort of mentality, to remind myself more often of the ancient wisdom teachings, which are a guide towards, what's true and meaningful and valuable, and leading to a quality life that's filled with peace and harmony for the most part. And, just steering away from all the bullshit and not even bothering to waste energy or time or resources in trying to educate people who are not even open to learning in the first place. If they wanted to understand, they would seek out the information and find out for themselves. So, yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Thanks for watching if you have watched. Thanks for listening if you haven't watched but you have listened while you're doing something else. And yeah, feel free to leave comments about the moon if you feel so inclined, and if you are not afraid of being sort of flamed by trolls who that sort of thing. Alright, peace, much love, see you in the next one.
Porque la sombra de mi alma es la cura, mostrándome la cara de mi luz. Porque la sombra de mi alma es la cura, mostrándome la cara de mi luz. Pidiendo favor de Pachamama, pidiendo favor de Pachacama, pidiendo favor de Taitainti, pidiendo favor de Mamatia. Porque la sombra de tu alma es la cura, mostrándote la cara de tu luz. Porque la sombra de tu alma es la cura, mostrándote la cara de tu luz. Pidiendo favor de Pachamama, pidiendo favor de Pachacama, pidiendo favor de Taitainti, pidiendo favor Mostra